I mean, I think within 10 years, if I just follow the log regression channel of market cap, or use a Bitcoin version and impute something out of it, I get to 100 trillion by 2034. Now that makes sense because all other assets are 100, 200, 300 trillion. A lot of assets are going on to this. Going to be a lot of activity. I don't think that's wildly wrong. That kind of suggests we're only 3% there because it's 3 trillion today. That was 2013. Okay, and I said, I'm going to discount myself by 90% because this sounds stupid to call for $1 million Bitcoin when it's 200. So I'm going to say 100 grand. So we hit my original target from 11 years ago.
Bitcoin's journey has been nothing short of a miracle, but according to Raoul and Dan Tapiero, what's coming next will leave you speechless. Forget the past highs and the skeptics' doubts. Bitcoin is on the verge of triggering a financial superstorm that will shake the world's economic foundations. Imagine this, a $100 trillion market cap by 2034, catapulting Bitcoin into the same league as gold, real estate, and global equities. This isn't fantasy. Institutional adoption is snowballing, governments are beginning to align, and blockchain technology is drawing capital flows at an unprecedented scale. Bitcoin isn't just here to compete, it's here to conquer. For those who once ignored Bitcoin or underestimated its potential, this is your wake-up call. The world's most revolutionary asset is preparing for its most explosive growth yet. What happens next will redefine wealth, power, and value for an entire generation. Are you ready to witness the financial storm of the century? Bitcoin isn't just a chapter in financial history, it's the headline, and the story has only just begun. Let's watch clips from Raoul's explosive interview with Dan Tapiero to gain more insight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and enable notifications for additional in-depth content. Thanks for joining us again. Enjoy the video.
I don't know if you remember, but 5 years ago when we had our first Bitcoin chat, it was the summer of 2019. And I said in that chat, I didn't understand why the US was not at the forefront of this, because it would allow us to have a digital dollar via the stablecoin. I mean, stablecoins didn't exist back then. But I thought if you have Bitcoin as your core collateral, you have stable coins that are largely dollar-based, you have a massive advantage. And the US, it took, 5 years, or maybe it's been in development for the last sort of, I think, 2-3 years. People have been saying, wow, this is a great technology. Why aren't we harnessing this, right? I think that's and now, look, 99% of the stable coins are still dollars.
And don't forget that they're now one of the biggest buyers of treasuries. The other thing that's interesting to me is what you mentioned is, you and I know, because we've all spoken to people, is the finance system's been waiting for the green light. The big Web 2 companies have been waiting for a green light. There's a lot of people who've been waiting for a regulatory green light. Now, we haven't got it yet because we need regulations. But I look at the finance system, and I think one of the things you've been talking about as well is if they're going to build, there's an obvious choice for them, which is going to be Ethereum. Ethereum has the native yield, and it is the kind of IBM or Microsoft of the space. I think people are underestimating how fast finance is going to come because they've all been working on it. And it's a very likely an Ethereum ecosystem thing overall. Thoughts?
I mean, I've always believed in this sort of multi-chain world that different blockchains can have different use cases. I mean, Bitcoin, no question, is the collateral for the whole space. And we've talked about that, I don't know how many times. The smart contract platform, Solana, Speed, but there are other things like Sui and Sei that are coming up that will find specific use cases, right? So it shouldn't be that meme coins are on the Bitcoin blockchain. Come on. It's fine that it's on Solana and all the activity is there. So I think that the number of use cases is so great. We haven't even seen what I think is, and I've been looking for companies in this area, but what I think is one of the most important use cases, which is the use of the permanent ledger. The fact that whatever is stamped on that blockchain is there forever, can be verified, that truth machine concept. There are still very few companies out there or people that are applying the power of that to business generally. And, so for instance, could there be a blockchain that focuses specifically on that aspect that doesn't exist today? Sure. Are there going to be blockchains that maybe focus more on RWAs? Or will there be one that is more of an NFT-based one? Will there be an art one? Will there be one for property and real estate? Everything can't go on one chain.
From what Scott has said, made clear is, yes, they want the kind of fiscal cleanup, so we're issuing less bonds, so i.e. a lower deficit. But they're not just going to wholesale throw people out into the streets, as you said. They want to create efficiencies and deregulation, which Scott's bet is they've only got one choice here. You either keep compounding the debts at record levels, or you try and generate some GDP growth. And this entire government is all about GDP growth. And Scott said, I want to get the oil price lower and the dollar weaker. I mean, this is like macro heaven. If he can pull this off, this is like perfect situation. Deregulation, lower oil, lower dollar, and lower rates.
Lower dollar for a second. I mean, I'm not sure why we need that.
Bitcoin isn't merely a currency. It's the cornerstone of a digital asset era, poised to reshape the very foundations of our global economy. Back in 2013, Powell's cautious prediction of Bitcoin reaching $100,000 seemed bold, given its $200 price tag. Fast forward, his target has been surpassed, validating his forward-thinking insights. Now, with Bitcoin's valuation tied to gold equivalency, where 700 ounces translate to over $2 million, Powell's vision underscores the disruptive potential of decentralized currencies. Meanwhile, Dan Tapiero highlights the United States' unmatched appeal for global investment, driven by strong governance, innovation, and productivity growth. He pointed out the explosive growth of blockchain, with active addresses up 7 times in 2 years, and stablecoins set to surpass Visa in transaction volume. With 500 million crypto accounts now rivaling traditional brokerage accounts, institutional investors are accelerating adoption. Tapiero predicts a US-led decentralized finance revolution where blockchain and DeFi redefine global finance, fostering scalability, inclusivity, and unprecedented growth. Let's watch more clips from this interview.
I think if you tighten fiscally and you rationalize the government, the capital inflow into the U.S. as a result of, corporations, being leaner, the government leading the way in that area, I just think all inflow for investment is going to offset any, why would anyone not want to invest in the U.S. with this team that we have? I'm just saying, okay, with this team that we have, the interest rates could be lower, but no one else in the world is even close to approaching this. There's no activist government out there that has, a proper macro person running treasury. I think eventually another person, at the Fed of that caliber, the people that they're bringing in, if I were in another place, I would want to have my money here. I had been bearish on the dollar for a while, and my view is sort of changing now. I may be wrong. I may be wrong about it. I haven't been a dollar bull in a very, very long time, but I think this is a structural one-off shift up. And no government can compete with the government we have today. And there aren't companies like the ones we have in the US outside. I mean, I see it even in the crypto space. A lot of the volume is outside of the US, 80% of it right now. But not as many, quality companies outside as you would hope, given that they're 80% of the total trading volume. Some people, question this data. We've done a lot of work. We think this is the legit data. 6 million in January of 21, right? Total active addresses across the top blockchains. And it stayed at it was 20 million at the beginning of the year. And it's just spiked up to 164 million. So we're up, almost 7x this year. We're up, 3x in the last 2 months. These are massive, massive numbers. So when I think about, adoption, it's not just people owning a Bitcoin. It's how widespread is the use and interaction with the top, 5, 10 blockchains. And so this chart encompasses all on-chain blockchains, including swaps, purchases, airdrops, NFT, signing transactions, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's everything. It's how much activity is moving into the digital asset sphere. Well, 500 million accounts, that's a lot. I think the ETFs, you have a nice chart on the, the Bitcoin supply back in ETFs, that's gone up. And now all of a sudden you have L2s, you have total Bitcoin L2 volume, that is up 10x this year. And so if I look out over the next 2 years, the thing that I think could really take off is US-based DeFi.
Yeah.
So, DeFi 2 years ago basically got pushed outside of the US. And so the first step for everybody is, through a centralized exchange, they come on their Kraken or Gemini or whatever Coinbase, they buy their Bitcoin. But now, especially Coinbase, Kraken too, now they've made it easy to port over into DeFi. Not everyone is going to buy a Ledger and go in through Ledger Live or have MetaMask. But I do think that once these institutional guys, they're going to own their Bitcoin through the ETF or whatever, they're going to own their Ethereum, they're then going to start to understand as they watch it, as they focus on it, that it's really the decentralized financial world that has the ability to grow. I mean, TVL, total value locked in DeFi, is I think around $100 billion, which is very small. The total value in the space today, if I add up all the cryptocurrency and all the equities, around $4 trillion. So of that $4 trillion sitting there, only really 2% of it is actually active in DeFi. And I think that's gonna, change.
Bitcoin's recent surge to an unprecedented $106,000 marks a groundbreaking shift in the financial world. Raoul and Dan Tapiero highlight this milestone as a testament to the rapid adoption of digital assets and the game-changing power of blockchain technology. Tapiero notes a 7-fold increase in active blockchain addresses over just 2 years, signaling a massive move toward decentralized finance. Pal underscores institutional adoption, revealing that global crypto accounts, now at 500 million, rival traditional brokerage accounts. Adding to the momentum, a report hints at a potential U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve under President-elect Donald Trump, further legitimizing digital assets as a cornerstone of modern finance. Tapiero believes the U.S. is primed to lead the decentralized finance revolution, fueled by its innovative companies and strong governance, solidifying its role as a trailblazer in the blockchain era. Moreover, Bitcoin's meteoric rise highlights a broader shift in global financial preferences. As traditional fiat currencies like the euro and yen struggle amid geopolitical and economic uncertainties, digital assets present a compelling alternative. Pal and Tapiero both foresee a flippening in the financial system, with blockchain innovations challenging and eventually surpassing traditional financial rails like Visa in transaction volume. This moment reflects a confluence of technological innovation, institutional acceptance, and geopolitical shifts, positioning blockchain and digital assets as catalysts for a more decentralized, efficient, and inclusive global economy. As adoption accelerates, the financial landscape will likely be reshaped, fulfilling the potential both speakers have long anticipated. As we wrap up, the question remains: can Bitcoin truly integrate into the financial mainstream to rival traditional asset classes? Do you also believe Bitcoin isn't just a currency, but the harbinger of a digital asset era? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Share this video and don't forget to hit the like button. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.